I also don't get what the is going on with Charlotte Flair. What is happening to Charlotte Flair? What is going on? Can somebody explain it to me? Is it possible that the more she changes her face, the more she forgets how to wrestle?
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. My name is Nick Nightmare. It's Wrestlemania Saturday. Night 1 is in the books, and we are here to talk about it. In this episode, I'm going to give you my review and reaction to the entire first night of WrestleMania 41. We're going to start at the very beginning, which just is the overall look and feel of the show being in Las Vegas for the 31st edition of WrestleMania. I was underwhelmed. I think they missed the mark. I don't understand the set. What was it supposed to be, like a giant casino? It just looked like a big random building. Nothing special, no logo. You'd think with all the cross promotion and brands they were throwing in your face, they would have had some casino pay money to have their building be the building of the WrestleMania stage. But this is Las Vegas. Why wasn't it a giant roulette wheel or a slot machine where before every match in the the little slot things, each person comes up? They could have done so many much more creative things. They didn't have any big dice anywhere or playing cards or anything that told you they were in Las Vegas as part of the theme. At least when they were in Hollywood, they had like film reels around and stuff. They did at WrestleMania 40 last year in Philadelphia. They had a big bell. They were using the Philadelphia Eagles colors. This just didn't feel like WrestleMania was from Las Vegas. It just looked like a standard generic WrestleMania set that you could have made yourself in 2K25. You know what else I hated about this shit in Vegas and the way the set looked? Was the ring itself. Oh my god, if you thought the Prime logo was bad, just being in the center of the ring, wow, are you going to hate this? Because I hated that. And then I hated it when they added a couple of other smaller logos to the corners of the mat. But now here at WrestleMania, we had like 19 different logos on the mat. We had different logos on each turnbuckle. The only exception being the one in the middle was consistently the WWE logo. And it was very distracting, very off-putting, and this corporate branding bullshit in the WWE is its biggest downfall. I don't give a shit about Xfinity fucking mobile wireless, whatever it is. I don't give a shit about all your stupid quasi-celebrities that are in the crowd. I don't give a shit about Clash of Clans. I don't give a shit about whatever the fucking game was that you had to have the stupid character. You had a video game character at WrestleMania introducing Jey Uso. Nobody even knew what the fuck was going on. I didn't know. Oh, it's a cross fucking promotion with this stupid video game. Who gives a shit about this stuff? This is their weakest point. They've become so corporate and so fucking Hollywood that the branding is out of control. You had Snickers was the overall sponsor. Then you had 15 other sponsors. The logos were everywhere. You had the Xfinity mobile fucking ad that they made the whole arena look like the Xfinity colors and the logos and everything. You would think with all the money they made, with all the co-sponsorships in all these high-profile places, that's got to be a pretty penny to have all of this, right? You probably spent a shit ton of money. Then why the fuck are the tickets at the lowest price, $500 a pop? All the way up in the goddamn nosebleeds, you're paying $350 per ticket. You're not going alone. You got to bring your family, so it's costing you at least $1,000 if you're a family of 3. You still got to pay through the fucking nose. Meanwhile, they're making all this money, and you gotta sit there. You paid $1,000 to watch a million fucking commercials disguised as wrestling matches and segments and promos. My God, Michael Cole was trying to fucking sell us everything tonight. Awful. That shit's gotta stop. But it won't. Because they're getting paid. Nobody stops doing anything if it's making them money. No matter how the fans might feel about it. We had some pretty decent WrestleMania moments, but it is not without a bunch of missteps. And one of those missteps was the first match on the card, the World Heavyweight Championship match between Jey Uso and Gunther. Now, this match leading into it was lacking a lot of heat until Gunther attacked Jimmy Uso, beat him to a bloody pulp in front of his brother while he was being restrained. And then this match caught a little bit of heat, caught a little bit of fire, and it made a little bit more interest in this match. It had a little bit more behind it than just being for the World Heavyweight Championship now, and I was a lot more invested. I also wasn't sure. I wasn't too sure whether or not they were actually going to pull the trigger on Jey Uso becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion, but I'm glad they did, because it was the first match on the card. You want to kick off WrestleMania with a big moment. I didn't think they were going to start this show with this match and have Jey Uso lose and kick off WrestleMania on a big downer. But it definitely is within their capacity to do such a thing. I certainly didn't see it happening here. But the one fatal flaw in this match was the finish. This match, overall, had a weird vibe to it. It felt a little disjointed. I don't know if Jey Uso was maybe a little nervous, but he just seemed, I don't know, like he was a bit off right from the entrance. Like he wasn't yeeting along with the crowd too much. He just maybe was trying to pull off some intensity. You know, he's supposed to be angry. He's looking for vengeance. He wants to get his hands on Gunther. So maybe he was taking a more serious approach, but it just felt like his vibe was kind of off. There was a lot of weird pauses, a lot of non-motion, a lot of just standing around, looking at each other, laying around. But it was a hard-hitting match. It was a decent match, but the finish is what killed it in two ways. One, you got Jey Uso going over to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and you take away the 3 count. Now that's just a minor thing, all right? The crowd doesn't have to do the 3 count, but Jey Uso is one of the most over people on the roster right now. The crowd definitely was looking forward to counting the 3 and celebrating the title win, because that's what you want to do. You don't want to go in there and just wait for a tap out. That's what the UFC is for, right? Tapping out is an underwhelming finish, and it's only made all the more worse by the fact that it was Gunther tapping out and the way it went down. Jey Uso ends this match wrapping up Gunther in a sleeper hold. It wasn't a very intense looking sleeper hold, and I understand the storytelling aspect of it, you know, because Gunther uses the sleeper hold. He had Jimmy in the sleeper hold with the blood pouring down his face. I get, you know, the repeat aspect. It rhymes, right? It's storytelling. It's supposed to rhyme. But this is fucking Gunther we're talking about. For him to tap out to Jey Uso, who is significantly smaller, who up until this point has been struggling to even get any offense on Gunther throughout the entirety of the feud, and then he taps him out so quickly. There was no need for the tap out. Gunther should have passed out. Jey wrapped him up in the sleeper hold, and within like 15 seconds, Gunther was tapping out. Gunther tapping out within that short of a time frame killed the whole thing for me. Because it's one thing to have Jey go over on Gunther. It's another thing to have him go over and then make the former champion look like a fucking schmuck. Look like a ragdoll. Look like a jobber who just quickly taps out because, oh, this guy got me in a sleeper. A sleeper's not even his move. Like, it would have made more sense if Jey was known for his sleeper, like, oh shit, I'm in Jey Uso's sleeper, I gotta get out. But no. Didn't make sense. Would have been much more impactful and a much bigger WrestleMania moment if Jey Uso would have hit the spear, hit the splash, got the 3 with everybody counting along, 64,000 people in unison, then would have followed it up with a yeet celebration to... I didn't like the finish. Long story short, good match, bad finish. Happy for Jey Uso, not so happy for Gunther. We are moving on. The next matchup on the card was the World Tag Team Championship. There was no reason to have this match if not to change the championships. And my biggest criticisms of this match, outside of the match itself being on this card, because there was just no real build to this. They dropped the ball with the New Day. They had them as one of the most compelling acts on the card, and then completely dropped the ball. Forgot all about them, right? Just gave us nothing. And then suddenly, oh, now they want the tag titles back, and now we have this match. Very underwhelming build. Very unnecessary match. Looks that they're, we could have had a United States Championship match for the girls. We could have had Lyra Valkyria have her own Intercontinental Championship match instead of looping her in with the girls, but that's another story for tomorrow night. We could have had a million other matches besides this. It was very predictable. I think everybody knew the New Day was going to win this. And that makes them, 14, 15-time tag team champions. It was a historic win at WrestleMania, something the New Day has earned, I guess. But my biggest problem with this match, more than anything, is that the War Raiders looked like complete and absolute clowns. They looked so ridiculous, coming out dressed up as characters from Clash of Clans. If you thought the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders outfit was fucking disgusting and stupid looking and made them look like idiots, then boy, hold my beer, because this was friggin' a million times worse. These costumes looked like they were made by a 3rd grade class. Holy shit, did they look retarded. Let me tell you something, the Raiders have never fully recovered from that whole Viking disastrous gimmick. And they just can't recapture the aura they had, that badass aura they had when they were the NXT Tag Team Champions. So of course they're going to give the titles back to the New Day. At least they're somewhat compelling. Maybe it'll make the tag team division better, having them back on top and taking on some new and fresh talent. At least it won't be the New Day versus the Usos 90,000 times like it was back in the day. And maybe they'll get some new tag teams over by being the heels in the equation. I'm not hating it. What I am hating is just the outcome here for the War Raiders. They threw them out there dressed like a couple of dicks, and then they lost to the New Day. And now what are you going to do with them? Who cares at this point? Eric and Ivar are Eric and over, in my opinion. That's not a slight on the guys. I loved the guys. I thought the tag team was great. But their booking has been shit. And yeah, they repackaged them again, made them the War Raiders, took the Vikings out of it. But then you go and do some dumb shit with the cross promotion and the branding, and it's fucking awful. So, after the tag team match, we had Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Honestly, going into this thing, if you've heard any of the previous stuff on this channel, you know I wasn't looking forward to this match. Because I think WWE dropped the ball here and should have went with Jade versus Bianca. That might still be in the works. Maybe that's still the plan going forward. But I was very confused, and I'm still very confused at the sudden, push for Naomi. They just have a thing for Naomi. They want her to be over so bad that they finally gave up on the glow. And Naomi came out with a new entrance. She came out with this really cool fucking death metal song. Black and yellow caution tape gear, It all seems okay. I was feeling it. But when you're watching it go down, like, it doesn't really fit. Like, the song just doesn't fit her overall presentation. Part of me just feels like there's just something a bit off. It's a great song. I like the song. I like Naomi's new presentation. It's miles better than that Feel the Glow shit we were just complaining about in our last video. But it just feels a little off. Speaking of a little off, Jade Cargill's hairdo, choice of hair for WrestleMania, I don't know if it was intentional. Maybe she had like a whole thing planned and then it didn't work out and like she had to take out the extensions and go with whatever that was, but it wasn't flattering. Her outfit was great. Not a fan of the hairdo. But Jade makes her first singles match at WrestleMania count. This ended up being one of the better matches on the card. Shocked as hell to be saying this to you guys, but this was a good match. Jade wins as expected, but Naomi actually looked great. Probably one of the better matches on the night. She wrestled way better than Charlotte Flair, which we'll get to later on in this video. She was very impressive. You want to talk about impressive though? You look no further than Jade Cargill. Some really sick feats of strength. Catching Naomi mid-air in a suplex position, it just defies gravity. It defies physics. It baffled the announce team because it just is not something that you see happen very often. She made it count. She was very impressive in her debut. She comes out with the win, and that's what needed to happen here. Because Jade Cargill is going to go on, probably, hopefully, to end up feuding with Bianca Belair when it comes out and is revealed that Bianca was the motivation behind Naomi's attack. Maybe this whole thing was Bianca's idea in the first place to get Jade out because she felt threatened by Jade because Jesus, just look at her, right? Who wouldn't be threatened by Jade? So that's what I'm hoping goes down. I'm hoping Bianca Belair wins the championship tomorrow night in the triple threat match on WrestleMania Sunday to go on and feud with Jade Cargill for it throughout the rest of the year, maybe leading us to WrestleMania 42, where the two of them can finally settle things once and for all. That's long-term booking. We're getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves, but that's what I hope happens. Jade Cargill beats Naomi. Good match. Good job, Naomi. Not something we say too often, but I am very honest and I give credit where credit's due, and this girl impressed the hell out of me. Maybe one of the best matches I've seen her have ever. And it was on the grandest stage of them all, so props to both these girls. This was followed by the United States Championship match. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. The only thing I wanted out of this match was for Jacob Fatu to win. And again, that's not a slight on LA Knight. I've loved LA Knight since he was Eli Drake. I've waited for him to come to the WWE and get over as I knew he would ever since then. And I'm very happy that he was given the United States Championship. What kind of sucks about it is he's only had 2 title defenses, right? He only really fought against Carmelo Hayes and Shinsuke Nakamura. And he's had it for so many days for there to only be two title defenses seems a little bit weird, right? It doesn't make him look like that great of a champion, but that's what the little stat window said in the corner, so it's got to be true. But Jacob Fatu just has that spark. There's just something about him that when you look at him and you watch him perform and you hear him talk, you just know that he's destined for bigger things. And this was the first step in a long career where he's going to be given a lot of belts and most likely is going to be the second coming of Roman Reigns in the future. This was a fantastic match. This was a slugfest. These guys really went out there and worked their asses off. The best moment of this match for me was when LA Knight delivered a BFT from out of nowhere, Randy Orton style. Jacob Fatu was in the middle of the sky doing his moonsault flip, and out of nowhere he caught him with a BFT on the way down. I thought that was it, but Jacob Fatu can absorb sick and ridiculous amounts of damage. It's part of his character, it's part of his story arc so far, and he proved that it's going to take a lot for somebody to take this guy down. For him to take that match and be able to get for him to take that finish and to get his hand on the bottom rope before the count of 3, and then go on to finish this match and win and become the new United States champion. Fantastic. Fantastic. I loved every minute of it. This is just the beginning. I'm very happy. Great finish. Good stuff from both these guys. Can't really say the same about El Grande Americano, El Gable Americano versus Rey Fenix. Now, the match itself, not bad. Good match. Some good lucha-style wrestling from both men. Chad Gable definitely doing his homework and is learning how to wrestle the lucha style, pulling out some really fun-looking lucha moves. Very impressive. Rey Fenix making his debut on the Wrestlemania stage. And I just don't get it. I don't get why at WrestleMania you would have him lose to El Grande Americano. I don't know if that was the intention going in. We all know that Gable Americano was supposed to be wrestling Rey Mysterio. At the last minute, Rey got injured on SmackDown last night and was replaced by Rey Fenix. You would assume that in a match that's supposed to be for the respect and to honor the culture of Lucha Libre, a match that was used to announce how WWE has acquired AAA Mexico, a match that was being put on in front of some of the bigwigs of that very company, sitting there ringside watching, and the WWE choose to have Rey Fenix lose. Now, I know that Gable Americano cheated. We know he used the loaded mask. He put the steel plate in his forehead. But I feel like this was just wrong. And I feel like this was embarrassing. For them to choose to give the win to a fake luchador, even via cheating, on a night where they're announcing this big partnership with AAA, on a night where all of these people are in attendance. You had Vikingo there, who's a big head guy in AAA. You had so many people there to celebrate this new addition to the WWE corporate family, this extension into the world of Lucha Libre, and you embarrass the Lucha Star, one of the biggest wrestlers of that genre in the entire industry, and you have him lose. I don't get it. I don't get it. I feel like that was embarrassing. There's no reason why Rey Fenix shouldn't have beat Gable Americano here. El Gable Americano, the angle itself, the gimmick itself, it's got legs. He didn't need to win. He could have lost and then claimed he'd never lost because the guy's psychotic as it is. They could have went a million ways about it without having to beat Rey Fenix in his WrestleMania debut after they already embarrassed him in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal just to set up this match. I don't get it. I don't get that. I also don't get what the fuck is going on with Charlotte Flair. What is happening to Charlotte Flair? What is going on? Can somebody explain it to me? Is it possible that the more she changes her face, the more she forgets how to fucking wrestle? The girl looks like she forgot how to use the human body. Like, I don't know, is there so much Botox in there that the brain waves aren't connecting to the body and they're not working in unison anymore because there's too much shit in the way from the cerebellum to the fucking rest of the body? Even just walking to the ring, she seems awkward. Even my wife, as we're watching, she's like, she looks like she's drunk. Or like possibly on some sort of a medication. Because her movements were so off. Her timing was off. She looks awkward and lanky and uncoordinated. And Charlotte Flair used to be one of the best wrestlers on this roster. Yeah, I said it. I'm admitting it. When she was part of the 4 Horsewomen in NXT, and immediately as she was called up, she was one of the best in the ring. The accolades were not undeserved in the beginning. It's when they decided to take the Roman Reigns route and just shove her down everybody's throats and manufacture multiple title wins that mean nothing to go after a fake number that the WWE made up for Ric Flair, which is not even accurate. People don't care. Everything feels disingenuous with Charlotte. Everything feels manufactured. Everything feels corporate. And then you watch this match, and I don't even understand why they would put her back in this spotlight, because anybody with 2 functioning eyeballs can see that something is off with Charlotte Flair's performance. That is not how Charlotte Flair wrestles. Missing spots, wasting time, laying around, doing a lot of nothing, and then when she is doing something, almost botching. If you just watch her, it's not even the robotic thing anymore. She was becoming robotic, but now it's just awkward. She looks like her body doesn't work anymore. I don't get it. I felt horrible for Tiffany Stratton. She did the best she could in this match to stay with Charlotte Flair. But she dropped Tiffany a couple of times. She botched multiple spots. This match went on way too long. These girls got very tired. Very quickly they got blown up. And it was evident. And in the end, thank God, the one good saving grace of this thing is that Tiffany Stratton won. And that's it. That's really the only thing that needed to happen. We didn't need Charlotte Flair to even be in this match, but if she was going to have this match, her only job was to get the new girl over. I also didn't appreciate Charlotte Flair stealing Stephanie Vacour's move. Now, it's not just because I'm a mark for Stephanie Vacour, but it's also because why does she have to take from other people? Oh, well, she doesn't. Yeah, she does. Even her entrance at Wrestlemania. She was the second car entrance of the night. LA Knight came out in a Maserati. And Charlotte Flair came out in whatever it was, a fucking Bentley or a Rolls Royce. Why would you do something if I would have seen that on the sheet and be like, wait a minute, he's coming out in a car, like we're doing that already? I want to do something different. I don't want to do what somebody else is doing. But no, she's totally alright, just totally copying everybody else. I mean, after all, her whole entire fucking gimmick is completely ripping off her old man. Right? So, what does one move from Stephanie Vacour matter? I don't appreciate it. What I did appreciate was the presentation for Tiffany Stratton. I loved the whole Barbie Dreamhouse thing and how she came out of what looked like a Barbie toy box. It was very cool, very unique, very on brand for her character. Fantastic stuff. That's what WrestleMania is all about. And then thankfully they pulled the trigger on giving the right girl the win. But overall this match came off very sloppy. Looked very telegraphed. Everything was kind of overly choreographed. We all know that wrestling is what it is, right? But you're not supposed to make it look like that. And in this match, it pretty much didn't do any favors for professional wrestling. And then finally we get to the main event. The triple threat that's not actually a main event. That the three guys involved, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns, actually did an excellent job of pulling everybody in and making this match feel like a main event. Now imagine how much better it would have been if they had the same exact match, but there was a title shot on the line. Or going in, we had Paul Heyman's contract on the line. How much more would it have meant then if we were going into this and then we had that same finish play out? Great finish on this match. A lot of good action. Everybody got their stuff in. All three guys looked fantastic. Seth Rollins came out in a black garbage bag, probably just a fireproof suit, to be honest. Burned down the set digitally, obviously, with a really cool looking flamethrower. And then the lights went out and revealed Seth Rollins as wrestling's new Jesus. Dressed in all white, his glasses had a crown of thorns on the side because he sees himself as the savior of wrestling. He's going to save us from CM Punk. He's going to save us from the tribal chief. He is the savior, and he definitely dressed for the part. He dressed the all-white, immaculate presentation, similar to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. Then you had Roman Reigns come out and just do his very simple Roman Reigns thing, just dressed in black pants, no pomp, no circumstance, nothing special at all, just Roman Reigns coming to the ring. The most impressive thing about his entrance was that it actually only took 5 minutes. We timed it. It was 5 minutes, not the usual 15, even though the ramp was super long. I thought it was going to take him at least a half an hour. Luckily, that was not the case. And then CM Punk, with Paul Heyman in tow, comes out with Living Color, playing him live to the ring. One of the new traditions of WrestleMania is that somebody gets to have a live band perform their entrance as they come out. CM Punk was that guy. Living Color out there, looked great, sounded pretty great. They were very good live. It was a good, fun way to start off this match. But then this match happened, and with nothing at stake, I watched this entire match just waiting for the angle, waiting for the swerve, right? That's what I was waiting for, because we all knew there was going to be some kind of twist at the end of this match. That twist being something to do with Paul Heyman. That much was obvious. And if you were watching and if you were paying attention on the road to WrestleMania, it shouldn't have been that much of a surprise to you when at the end of this match, Paul Heyman aligned himself with Seth Rollins. Don't have a problem with that. Think it's an interesting way to take the story going forward, make things feel differently, get him away from the Roman Reigns tribal chief bloodline stuff, start something new for Paul Heyman, something new for Seth, and really kicks off a new year and a new direction going forward, at least on Monday Night Raw for the time being. The three of these guys took advantage of the fact that a triple threat has no disqualifications and no countouts. They were fighting out into the crowd. There was weapon usage. These guys absolutely worked their asses off. And Heyman, for the most part, was a non-factor, just watching and kind of crying. A couple of really great near falls in this match. A couple of really good sequences between these guys that made this match, that elevated this match to make it feel like the main event they were billed to be. Seth reversing the Roman Reigns spear into a pedigree, followed by a stomp for one of the biggest near falls at the beginning of this match. Roman speared Seth out of his fucking skin at one point that ended up having him into a GTS for a second near fall by CM Punk. Seth, towards the end, tried to form an alliance with Roman Reigns, and it looked like they were going to do the Shield powerbomb minus the third member, but then Roman was like, I don't need anybody, and he took out Seth and powerbombed both Seth and CM Punk respectively through both announce tables, one at a time. Really intense, really fantastic stuff. But this match was all about the double turn. Paul Heyman sliding the chair into CM Punk when he finally decided to get involved. But then he got in the ring, and now you knew things were going to get wacky, because there was no reason for Paul to get in the ring after giving CM Punk the chair unless he was going to do something else, which of course he did. He hits CM Punk in the balls from behind and then gives the chair to Roman, does the same to Roman Reigns, hands the chair to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins attacks Roman, kicks CM Punk out of the ring, ends up with the win. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins, the one that mostly nobody was talking about going into this match, comes out with the win and comes out with a new manager. Take all of that I just said and imagine we knew, like I said, that we knew that going in. Imagine Paul Heyman knew that his contract was up for grabs, right? And the whole world's like, oh my God, Paul wants to stay with Roman, but Punk's gonna fight for him, and then like there would have been so much speculation. And then how much more does it mean that Paul Heyman knew and chose to go with Seth Rollins after knowing that this match was for his contract? Elevates it. Or you add any of the other things to it. If there was a title on the line, everything gets elevated, because now Heyman just screwed both of his main guys out of a championship or a championship title match if the number one contendership was on the line for the World Heavyweight Championship. And now, the way things are going, you're going to have, what, Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso going forward? You could have had Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. You could have had CM Punk versus Jey Uso going forward. None of those things really make sense. Seth Rollins is the better fit for that story, if that's the story they're going to tell. Somehow, I don't think Gunther is done. I think Gunther's going to end up getting his hands back on the title. This might be for Jey Uso very similar to the Kofi Kingston thing, where like, all right, he's the feel-good guy in the moment. We're going to give him the championship now, and in about a month or at Backlash, he's going to end up losing it back to Gunther, and then we'll go back to our original intention, which maybe is Seth versus Gunther. I don't know. But going forward from here, things are very in the air, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing for wrestling that this controversial finish to night one leaves us with so many questions. Because if we didn't have these questions, what would be the point of watching the show going forward from here? Overall, WrestleMania night one was alright. We crowned some new champions. We had a couple of decent twists. Felt like WrestleMania at times. But I'm going to be honest, and overall, night one just felt like your average pay-per-view. We'll have to see how tomorrow pans out. Hopefully, we have a better night than tonight. Not that tonight was bad, but it could have been improved upon. Many things could have been made better. Tomorrow, overall, I believe is the better card. And we got the Fatal 4-Way that I'm really hyped about. We have 2 mysteries to be solved. We have who's going to now team up with Lyra Valkyria versus Liv and Raquel for the Women's Championship now that Bayley is out of the match. And we need to tune in to see who's going to be the mystery opponent for Randy Orton. Speculation is running wild about that. Most people are thinking it's going to be Nick Aldis. Some people are saying it's Jeff Cobb, since he maybe signed to the WWE recently, but I don't think that would be good unless they wanted to bring him in as Matanza. I mean, nobody really knows who Jeff Cobb is now. I mean, a couple of years back, maybe it would have been different. I don't know, but maybe it'll be Kevin Owens. Maybe his whole thing was a ruse after all. Who knows? We'll have to tune in to find out. See some really good, intriguing stuff. Most looking forward to the Fatal 4-Way. Cody versus Cena. The women's triple threat. Pulling for Bianca Belair there. But tomorrow's another day. And we will be here for you with a review of Night 2 tomorrow night as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. If you wanted to see, or if you missed our previous video we put up a couple of days ago about everything wrong with the build to WrestleMania, you can check that video right here, right now, or the link in the description down below. Don't forget to do all the YouTube things like share and subscribe. If you got this far in the video, then obviously you can hang, you like the show, and you want to come back for more. That's the best way to do so. My name is Nick Nightmare. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show WrestleMania Night 1 review, and we will see you tomorrow for Night 2. Have a good one.